The Navajo people survived decades of blood and battle, fighting for their place in the history books, but few know about their secret weapon and how it saved America. But we'll get into that part a little later. The Navajo people were once nomadic hunter-gatherers, living off the land as their simple yet substantial way of life. Today, they are the largest Native American tribe in North America. From fascinating cultural traditions to indescribable massacres, find out how the Navajo people survived decades of injustice and conflict using sheer persistence and their intriguing secret code. The Navajo are a Native American people of the southwestern United States. With more than 400,000 enrolled tribal members as of 2021, the Navajo Nation is the largest federally recognized tribe in the United States. Additionally, the Navajo Nation has the largest reservation in the country. The reservation straddles the Four Corners region and covers more than 325 square miles of land in Arizona, Utah, and New Mexico. The Navajo people are believed to have migrated from northwestern Canada and eastern Alaska, where the majority of Athabascan speakers reside. Although the exact timing of the relocation is unknown, it is thought to have been between 1100 and 1500 CE. The Navajos speak an Apache language classified in the Athabascan language family, referred to as the Navajo language. Many also speak English. They traditionally referred to themselves as the Din, meaning the people. Initially, the Navajo were largely hunter-gatherers, relying on the natural environment for all of their needs, including food, shelter, and medicine. Traditionally, the Navajo lived in hogans, a dome-shaped house with a wood frame and walls made out of clay. The door of the hogan always faced east so they could see the sunrise. After migrating to the southwest, the Navajo adopted farming practices from the nearby PBLO people, growing mainly the traditional Native American Three Sisters of corn, beans, and squash. In addition to crops, they started herding sheep and goats as both their main source of food as well as trade. Meat became essential in the Navajo diet, and sheep became a form of currency and familial status. Keeping some tradition alive, the Navajo continued to hunt animals for food, such as deer, rabbits, and prairie dogs. Some of their top traditional dishes include mutton stew, fried cornbread, and even grilled prairie dog. Before the Navajos started raising sheep, they wore clothes made of woven yucca plants or deerskin. The men wore breechcloths and the women skirts. Their shoes were soft leather moccasins. Later, they wore clothes woven from the wool of sheep. In addition to traditional clothing, the Navajo were and still are extremely talented with arts and crafts, and often divided up various creative activities among the men and women. This included silver jewelry, which was created by the men that often include turquoise embellishments. In addition to the jewelry, the Navajo women wove blankets and made clay pots, both of which would become significant symbols of the Navajo culture. Navajo chiefs' blankets, handcrafted by the tribe's women, were often used as symbols of wealth, power, and prestige. These were highly sought after and were considered valuable trade items. Native American leaders and chiefs would often wear or display these blankets as a sign of their authority and influence. Today, authentic Navajo blankets are extremely valuable for their rarity, scarcity, and artistry. These blankets could take up to a year to make, and neither two were ever exactly the same. The value of the woven blankets was equally as valuable back in the day, especially in terms of trade. They were used as clothing, blankets, window and door coverings, and entrance rugs. Over time, colors and fabrics were acquired and added, increasing their uniqueness and value. Historically, the structure of Navajo society is largely a matrilineal system in which the family of the women owned livestock dwellings, planting areas, and livestock grazing areas. Aside from that, there are other considerations taken in regards to their social structure. There's a system of clans, or K, that defines relationships between individuals and families. The clan system is exogamous. People can only marry or date partners outside their own clans, which for this purpose include the clans of their 4 grandparents. Some Navajos favor their children to marry into their father's clan. While clans are associated with a geographical area, the area is not for the exclusive use of any one clan. Members of a clan may live hundreds of miles apart, but still have a clan bond. Once married, a Navajo man would follow a Matrao residence and live with his bride in her dwelling and near her mother's family. Daughters, or if necessary, other female relatives were traditionally the ones who received the generational property inheritance. In cases of marital separation, women would maintain the property and children. Children are born to and belong to the mother's clan and are born for the father's clan. The mother's eldest brother has a strong role in her children's lives. As adults, men represent their mother's clan in tribal politics. Today, there are more than 100 clans, but traditionally, there were 4 clans set to be the original ones given to the Navajo from the changing woman. These clans were the Towering House Clan, One Walks Around Clan, Bitter Water Clan, and the Mud Clan. Men and women are seen as contemporary equals as both males and females are needed to reproduce. However, women's fertility is important. Although women may carry a bigger burden, fertility is so highly valued that males are expected to provide economic resources known as bride wealth. It is considered to be immoral and/or stealing if one does not provide for the other in that premarital or marital relationship. In regards to fertility, corn is a symbol of fertility in Navajo culture. So much so that they eat white corn during their wedding ceremonies to encourage fertility. Corn is a central part of the Navajo, as well as other native tribes. Corn pollen is used in daily prayers to cure illness and during puberty and marriage ceremonies. Cornmeal or pollen can be offered to the rising sun with prayer. Navajo's spiritual practice is about restoring balance and harmony to a person's life to produce health, and is based on the ideas of Huji. Actually, it goes much deeper than this. Navajo religion is widely practiced and notable for its intricacy. Some of its traditions relate to the emergence of the first people from various worlds beneath the surface of the earth. The Navajo people believe they passed through 3 worlds before arriving in this world. The 4th world, or the glittering world as it's known. They also believe in 2 classes of people, Earth people and Holy people. Earth people, the Navajo must do everything within their power to maintain the balance between Mother Earth and man. They're also expected to keep a positive relationship between them and the Dian, the 4 inhabitants of the first world, also called the Dark World. The first world is also where the first woman and the first man came into existence. Because the world was so dark, life could not thrive there, and they had to move on. The second world, also called the Blue World, was inhabited by a few of the mammals Earth people know today, as well as the Swallow Chief. The first world beings offended him and had to move on to the third world. The third world, also called the Yellow World, is where they found the 4 sacred mountains. But due to a great flood, first woman, first man, and the holy people were forced to find another world to live in. This time, when they arrived, they stayed in the 4th world. In the glittering world, true death came into existence, as well as the creation of the seasons, the moon, the stars, and, of course, the sun. The holy people or Dan had instructed the earth people to view the 4 sacred mountains as the boundaries of the homeland in which they should never leave. This included Blanca Peak in Colorado, Mount Taylor in New Mexico, San Francisco Peaks in Arizona, and Hesper Mountains in Colorado. Times of day as well as colors are used to represent the 4 sacred mountains as well. The importance of a specific number is emphasized in the Navajo religion, the number 4, which appears to be sacred to their practices. 4 times of day, 4 colors, 4 original clans, and 4 original songs. Some of the Navajo religious rites and ceremonies are simple rituals carried out by individuals or families for luck, in travel and trade, or for the protection of crops and herds. More complex rites involve a specialist who is paid according to the length and complexity of the ceremony. This is more typical in regards to curing physical and mental illnesses. Many other ceremonies were simply prayers, songs, and dances that were accompanied by dry paintings made of pollen and flower beds. In some cases, hundreds and even thousands of Navajo people are in attendance, and these ceremonies are still performed today. Although the Navajo never raided as extensively as their neighboring tribes, like the Apache, their raiding was serious enough that there is now a term used to describe major conflicts they were involved in. The Navajo Wars began back in the 16th century and included 3 distinct periods of conflict in the American West. The Navajo against the Spanish from the late 16th century through to 1821. The Navajo against the Mexican government from 1821 through to 1848. And finally, the Navajo against the United States, which happened after the 1847 to 1848 Mexican-American War. These conflicts range from small-scale raiding to large expeditions mounted by government forces. It wasn't until the 18th century, however, that a European explorer would lead an expedition into Navajo land. The Navajo were less than receptive. Although the goal was to create a path of travel for Spaniards, they were unable to penetrate Navajo territory before the United States government existed. The Spanish military attempted to subdue the Navajo and limit their raiding after they had made peace with the PBLO people. The Navajo and Pueblo maintained peace, and for the most part, limited raiding between their neighboring territories. The PBLO people had initially fought against the Navajo for encroaching on their homelands. In 1821, Mexico overthrew the Spanish government, and the Mexican military moved into the territories formerly controlled by the Spanish. The conflict with the Navajo continued. Additionally, the expansion of Mexican settlements throughout New Mexico increased their exposure to the Navajo raiders. In 1846, the United States took possession of New Mexico and Arizona after the Mexican-American War. The Navajo continued to raid the Americans and the New Mexicans, formerly the Mexicans, resulting in conflict between the American military and the Navajo forces. In 1849, the military signed a peace treaty with the Navajo. Although this brought temporary peace, in 1858 the military resumed operations against the Navajo. In 1861, the Navajos started a major campaign of raiding in response to a series of American military operations. Following these events, the American military began a major operation to relocate the Navajo to the Bosondo in New Mexico. The Long Walk, which took place from 1864 to 1866, involved the forced relocation of the Navajo to Bosondo, hundreds of miles away from their traditional homeland. Many died from exposure and starvation during the Long Walk, and the survivors faced harsh conditions at the Bosondo Reservation. The Long Walk, as it became known, was a brutal forced march of more than 300 miles with thousands of Navajo men, women, and children compelled to make the journey under harsh conditions. The journey was treacherous. Those who lagged behind or resisted were often killed. Many perished from exposure, malnutrition, and disease along the way. Those who survived the grueling march faced further suffering at the Bosondo Reservation, where conditions were harsh and resources scarce. Upon arrival at Bosondo, the Navajo were met with a harsh environment that was ill-suited for their way of life. The land was infertile, water was scarce, and the government-issued supplies were inadequate. The conditions led to widespread disease and malnutrition, and many more Navajo perished. The harsh reality of life at Bosondo led to significant hardship and suffering for the Navajo people who were accustomed to the relative abundance of their homeland. The Navajos' traditional way of life was severely disrupted. The communal and agricultural lifestyle they had built was impossible to maintain under such harsh conditions. The lack of sufficient food, inadequate shelter, and poor sanitation led to outbreaks of disease and high mortality rates. The Navajo were forced to depend on inadequate government rations, which were often spoiled or insufficient. The suffering of the Navajo at Bosque Redondo did not go unnoticed. Reports of the deplorable conditions reached officials in Washington, D.C., prompting an investigation. Humanitarian concerns and political pressure eventually led to a reconsideration of the Navajos' forced confinement. After several years of hardship, the U.S. government acknowledged the failure of the Bosque Redondo experiment. In 1868, the United States and the Navajo signed a treaty that allowed the Navajo to return to their homeland. The treaty established a reservation within their traditional territory, marking a significant movement in Navajo history. The return to their homeland allowed the Navajo to begin rebuilding their lives and preserving their cultural heritage. Despite the trauma and suffering they endured, the Navajo demonstrated remarkable resilience and determination. Upon returning to their homeland, the Navajo faced the immense task of rebuilding their communities. But even though the Navajo were finally home, their tragedies were far from over. Economic conflicts persisted for many years as resources assigned to the Navajo were exploited by civilians and companies. The U.S. government charged the Navajo for leasing livestock fields, seized lands for railroads, and allowed unlawful mining on Navajo land without tribal consent. The most egregious of their challenges, however, was their forced assimilation into white society. Though allowed back to their homelands, the Navajo agreed to government-funded schooling for their children, which involved strict boarding schools. These schools, both on and off the reservation, forced children to speak only English, punishing them if they didn't comply. They faced militaristic discipline, physical labor, insufficient food, uniforms, and mandatory haircuts. Many older Navajos hid their children to prevent them from being taken. Those forcibly taken often attempted to escape and were severely mistreated. In 1929, new control led to the closure of many boarding schools, replaced by more humane institutions like the Evangelical Missionary School, which provided a family-like atmosphere, home-cooked meals, and, most importantly, a Navajo-based curriculum. Despite improvements, significant language loss still occurred with English as the primary language at schools, while Navajo was prioritized at home. In the following decades, the Navajo Nation worked to recover and rebuild. They gradually restored their agricultural practices, reintroduced livestock, and re-established their traditional way of life. Going forward, as if the story of the Navajo wasn't already fascinating enough, they would play an essential role in saving America with their secret weapon. In the 1930s, the Navajo people began to be seen as valuable and important to the United States military, specifically in the 1940s and during World War II. The Navajo language was used as a code for sending secret military messages, making it extremely difficult for enemy forces to decode. The Navajo code talkers, as they came to be known, played a crucial role in the success of the United States in the Pacific theater of World War II. The idea to use the Navajo language as a code came from a World War I veteran who had grown up on the Navajo reservation and was fluent in the language. He proposed the idea to the United States Marine Corps in 1942, and after a successful demonstration, the military began recruiting Navajo men to serve as code talkers. The Navajo code talkers developed an intricate code based on their language, which proved to be unbreakable by enemy forces. The Navajo code talkers utilized this incredible secret weapon to help secure many significant American military victories. The code was never broken by the enemy, making it one of the most successful and robust military codes in history. This contribution significantly boosted the recognition and respect for the Navajo people and their language. The code talkers were involved in numerous battles, including the Battle of Iwo Jima, where their coded messages were crucial to the success of the operation. The speed and accuracy of their communication saved countless lives and contributed to the overall success of the United States military efforts in the Pacific. The bravery and skill of the Navajo code talkers were instrumental in securing victory for the Allies. Despite their significant contributions, the code talkers' role remained classified for many years after the war. It wasn't until 1968 that the information was declassified and the code talkers began to receive recognition for their heroic contributions. In 2001, the surviving code talkers were awarded Congressional Gold Medals, and their story has been widely celebrated and honored. The legacy of the Navajo code talkers is a source of immense pride for the Navajo Nation. Their contributions during World War II demonstrated the strength and resilience of the Navajo people and highlighted the importance of their language and culture. The recognition of the code talkers' achievements has also helped to foster a greater appreciation for the Navajo people and their unique heritage. Today, the Navajo Nation is a thriving community that continues to preserve its cultural heritage while embracing modern advancements. The Navajo people have successfully integrated their traditional practices with contemporary life, creating a vibrant and dynamic society. The resilience and determination that have defined the Navajo people throughout their history continue to inspire and empower future generations. The Navajo Nation is also actively involved in various economic and educational initiatives aimed at improving the quality of life for its members. Efforts to promote education, healthcare, and economic development have led to significant progress in recent years. The Navajo people continue to build on their rich cultural heritage while striving for a prosperous and sustainable future. The Navajo people's journey from their origins as hunter-gatherers to their current status as a prominent Native American tribe is a testament to their resilience, adaptability, and strength. Despite facing numerous challenges and hardships, the Navajo have preserved their cultural identity and continue to thrive in the modern world. Their story is a powerful reminder of the importance of cultural heritage and the enduring spirit of the Navajo people. If you enjoyed learning about the fascinating history of the Navajo people, don't forget to like and subscribe for more awesome Splash